Day 12. The lights are off across whole neighborhoods. Delivery trucks stopped running, and the grocery shelves you took for granted are bare. Neighbors you waved to are now shouting at each other in the street. Somewhere not far from you, a generator kicks on and the sound draws attention like a beacon. This is the environment I'm talking about when I say, why most Americans wouldn't survive the first month of World War III. It's not one single thing that kills chances of getting through month one. It's a chain reaction, collapsed infrastructure, predictable human behavior, and a complete mismatch between how most people live and what a sudden, national-level crisis actually demands. In the next half hour, I'm going to lay out the diagnosis, what breaks first and why, then walk through the human factors that turn scarcity into violence. You'll hear how two very different attacker types behave and what deters each of them. Then, I'll give a prioritized, realistic playbook. What to do in the first 72 hours, what to scale toward in the first week, and what to stabilize before month's end. If this is hitting home, subscribe now and join the community for the printable first 30 days checklist I'll link to. That one small step makes the practical advice here easier to put into action. The core failure begins with the systems you depend on. Modern life rests on continuous logistics, fuel moved by tanker trucks, refrigerated food supplied by scheduled shipments, power distributed by a grid designed for predictable loads, and emergency response calibrated to everyday emergencies. In a full-scale war, those systems get stressed in multiple ways at once. Fuel prioritization and disrupted ports reduce deliveries. Power grids become vulnerable to damage or overload. Labor shortages hit every link in the chain because people stop showing up or are reassigned. When refrigeration fails, a few days turns perishable food into waste. When pumps go down, gas stations close and people who need fuel for generators or evacuation can't get it. Police and medical services that are already stretched will be overwhelmed, and the normal legal and social cushions that keep disorder contained begin to thin. Timing matters. The first 48 to 72 hours are dominated by confusion and panic purchasing. People act on visible scarcity and fear. By the end of the first week, routine resupply fails and shortages become obvious. Fuel queues lengthen, pharmacies run low on medication, stores shut or lock their doors. 2 to 4 weeks in, the environment changes from opportunistic theft to organized predation. Groups that can coordinate movement and supply, whether they're militias, organized marauders, or coordinated scavengers, start to exploit gaps. That window, the first month, is uniquely lethal because normal institutions are still present enough to allow concentrated panic, but not present enough to stop coordinated threats. Human behavior accelerates collapse. Visibility equals vulnerability. People who broadcast their preparedness, lights blazing at night, loud, continuous generators, social media posts showing full pantries, become targets. Most households have thin day-to-day prep. A few meals in the pantry, a lawnmower generator that's noisy and obvious, a front door with a standard lock. Combine that with the natural human tendency to help at first and then to hoard, and you have a social phase shift from neighborly aid to competitive scarcity. What you see at your door is rarely a single uniform threat. It's a spectrum. At one end are the desperate opportunists. These are people reacting to immediate need. A parent with children, someone out of meds, a person who panics and moves without a plan. They are usually uncoordinated, impulsive, and often deterred by visible defensive measures, the impression of being watched, or the prospect of escalation. At the other end are organized marauders, smaller groups that plan, scout, and prioritize objectives. They identify easy targets, exploit weak OPSEC, and move with discipline. They prefer low-risk operations, silent approaches, multiple entry points, distraction tactics. Your defensive architecture needs to deter the first group and complicate the second. Start with OPSEC. Operational security is the most effective, low-cost mitigation you can apply immediately. Stop posting about supplies or your go bags. In a crisis, discretion is survival. Avoid telling neighbors you're stocked up. Avoid social media updates about what you have. And don't leave evidence of abundance visible from the street. No pallets of bottled water stacked by the curb. no obvious food caches in backyards, and no bright lights that make your location obvious at night. Generator noise, satellite dishes, and permanently lit porches are simple signals. If someone can see or hear sustenance at a distance, they will move toward it. Blending is a practical behavioral form of OPSEC. Dress and act in ways that don't make you stand out. If most people are in drab clothing, an immaculate tactical kit makes you a target. If you live in a residential area, keep your property looking normal, not like a fortress that screams, "We have things." Generator usage should be short, essential, and scheduled during times of low risk. Think brief windows where you power critical devices, not an all-night hum. In urban settings, conceal caches in places that don't draw attention. Rotate access points, and consider distributed caches so a single discovery doesn't blow your whole stock. In rural settings, hide supplies in ways consistent with the landscape. The same rule holds. Avoid patterns and avoid conspicuous storage. Fortification is the next layer. Most suburban and urban homes are designed for aesthetics, not defense. There are legal, practical upgrades that make a difference without turning your home into a fortress. A solid steel core exterior door, a heavy deadbolt, and long screws that bite into framing will slow a forced entry significantly. Window security film or polycarbonate panels reduce easy breakage. Curtains and blinds prevent people from observing interior layouts. Interior barricades, movable heavy furniture, reinforced bedroom doors, create time and options, not kill zones. Use sandbags or earth barriers only where safe and lawful in your area, and never build devices intended to maim. The goal is delay and deterrence, increments of time where you can execute your next decision. Barricade thinking is more about flow control than fortification theater. Think in funnels, not fortresses. Guide potential entrants into predictable paths that are visible to your observers and away from critical interior points. If you can see an approach, you can make decisions, deter, call, or prepare to move. Avoid creating compartments that trap you or your family. Escape routes matter as much as strong doors. In many cases, a clear, practiced withdrawal is safer than a last-stand defense. We must talk about tools of defense without glamorizing violence. If you legally own firearms, treat them as tools that require maintenance and training. Understand categories and roles without fixating on gear. Handguns are concealable defensive tools for close quarters. Shotguns provide significant stopping power in confined spaces, but have recoil and logistical considerations. Rifles offer range and accuracy for perimeter threats, but they come with legal implications and the need for secure storage. Non-lethal options, pepper spray, personal immobilizers, impact tools, are practical for many encounters and reduce legal and moral exposure. Whatever you have, practice with it. Safe handling, marksmanship fundamentals, and stress inoculation under controlled, lawful conditions. Training beats gear. A simple, practiced skill will serve you far better than an exotic item you don't understand. Maintenance keeps tools usable. Store firearms in secure, dry conditions. Rotate batteries in electronics. Clean mechanical devices before they fail. Generators run best with a steady maintenance routine. Test. Change oil per manufacturer guidelines, and keep fuel management conservative. Avoid making the generator the signal that brings people to your driveway. Use quiet conservation measures first. Insulation, layering, and turning off non-essential systems before firing up noisy, conspicuous machines. Community is a force multiplier. People who try to be islands tend to fail when threats get organized. Form a small, vetted group with neighbors you can trust. 3 to a dozen people is the practical range for effective coordination. Define roles early. A communications lead, a logistics person to manage supplies, medics or people with first aid training, and a rotations manager for perimeter watches. Vetting must be deliberate. Shared values and consistent behavior trump a glowing resume. Test trust before you trade heavy resources. Start small. Shared watch duties, mutual assistance during drills, or pooled small-scale supplies that don't create single points of failure. Communications inside your community need redundancy. In a national-level disruption, cell networks can fail or be overloaded. Two-way radios, ham radio basics, and even simple code phrases are useful at the conceptual level. Establish preset channels and a fallback schedule for check-ins. Keep messages concise and avoid broadcasting sensitive information on open channels. Use call and response patterns so you can confirm identity without exposing details. Practice the plan in low-stakes times, so procedures are familiar before they are necessary. Perimeter defense should be about detection and delay, not confrontation. Set up curated watch shifts with a clear schedule and overlapping coverage so you don't exhaust your people. Use simple alarms, trip lights, motion-based alerts tied to interior silence protocols so you can buy time. Rotate watchers to avoid predictable patterns. Keep a plan to move quietly and quickly to secure rooms or to evacuate if a breach is imminent. A disciplined watch team is a deterrent. Marauders look for soft targets and move on if a property looks prepared and watched. Decision rules are the backbone of successful survival. Agree on a flowchart before you need it. Hide, deter, redirect, escape, engage. Engage as last resort. Hide first. Get non-combatants into a secure, concealed location with water, first aid, and communications. Deterrence comes next. Visible but lawful deterrence like consistent watch presence, dogs, or noise-making devices used strategically. Redirect. Deception and decoys can cause attackers to waste time and assume you're not worth the trouble. Escape is a legitimate, honorable choice. Live to fight another day. Engage only when all other options are exhausted and the threat is imminent and unavoidable. After any violent confrontation, prioritize medical care, secure the scene, and be mindful of legal and safety follow-ups. The objective isn't to win a firefight, it's to survive, minimize harm, and maintain the integrity of your group. Psychology matters as much as physical measures. Fear paralyzes. Training reduces that paralysis. Small scheduled drills teach the body and the mind how to respond under stress. Practice low-light movement, silent room transitions, and quick decision-making under a timer. Keep family conversations practical. Establish clear expectations for behavior during a door knock or a break-in. Designate who handles children and pets, and rehearse evacuation routes. Normalize the plan, so when the moment comes, people follow routine instead of improvising under adrenaline. Now, a prioritized what-to-do list you can act on immediately. For the first 72 hours, focus on securing the basics and establishing OPSEC routines. Move your most important supplies out of plain view and into concealed, easy-to-access locations. Put immediate medical supplies and critical documents in a single, known spot. Ensure every household member knows where to go if you have to move quickly. Establish a communication plan with at least one trusted neighbor and set a daily check-in time. Run a quick inventory of fuel, water, and food, and redistribute small caches so you don't have one obvious stockpile. Turn off exterior lights at night and schedule brief, low-profile generator use only for essential needs. In the first week, shift to delay and redundancy. Fortify primary entry points with legal high-impact upgrades. Reinforce door frames, install solid locks, and add window film or other lawful window protection. Practice a basic barricade drill so everyone knows how to create delay points without creating traps. Establish rotating watches and a simple alarm plan. Set rules for interacting with people at the gate or door. No unsupervised opens. No trade-ins without vetting. Grow your community connections. Identify 2 or 3 households nearby to coordinate with, and agree on roles and a shared channel for communication. Begin training cycles. Short, focused sessions on safe tool handling, low-light movement, and basic first aid. By month 1, you should be scaling for sustainment and mobility. Develop distributed caches so losing one does not mean losing everything. Formalize watch schedules, rotate assignments to prevent burnout, and practice full scenario drills that include an evacuation and a reassembly point. Consider contingency designs for relocation if your area becomes untenable. Identify routes, secondary locations, and the conditions that would trigger movement. Continue skill building. More advanced medical care, radio operations under load, and stress fire drills within legal training environments. Always reassess OPSEC. Any public sign of increased capability invites attention. Urban and rural differences change priorities. In dense urban areas, concealment and blending are paramount. You can't rely on distance or natural barriers. Noise discipline is critical because sound travels between buildings. Stacked housing makes perimeter defense about controlling vertical approaches, rooftops, alleys, and common corridors. In rural settings, distance can be an advantage, but it also creates isolation. Supply lines are longer, and help may be hours away. Rural dwellers should emphasize redundancy. More fuel storage, more self-reliance in medical care, and discrete methods of concealing resources from passing traffic. Both environments benefit from community, but the shape of that community looks different. Block-focused in urban areas and spread-out networks in rural zones. Legal and ethical boundaries must guide every decision. Use of force carries legal consequences even in chaos. Storage of weapons and security devices must comply with local laws. Train at lawful facilities and document your compliance where possible. Avoid traps or any device intended to maim. They are illegal in most jurisdictions and create long-term exposure. If you must use force, be prepared for medical needs afterward, and for a post-event narrative that explains your actions truthfully and within legal lines. After any incident, immediate priorities are medical stabilization, regrouping, and reassessment. Tend to wounds and infections first. The biggest danger after violent encounters often comes from untreated injuries. Secure the perimeter and assume that any interaction might draw more attention. Reevaluate your OPSEC. Who knows about the event? What signals did you send? And how can you reduce future exposure? Psychological recovery is necessary. Trauma compounds in isolation. Keep routines, share responsibility, and seek community support where possible. Why most Americans won't make it through the first month is straightforward. Survival requires decisions you must have made before the crisis. Choices about what to hide, who to trust, where to position resources, and which skills to practice. Most people live in a world designed for comfort and continuous supply, not sudden, sustained scarcity. That mismatch creates predictable failure points, visible stockpiles that attract thieves, isolated households that burn out, and people who don't have practiced decision rules under stress. If you only do 3 things this week, make them these. Solidify your OPSEC. Stop advertising and conceal what you can. Create one reachable cache of essentials for the next 72 hours, and share its location only with one trusted person. And practice a single evacuation or shelter-in-place drill with everyone in your household. Those 3 moves change your immediate odds more than buying expensive gear will. Final practical checklist to carry with you mentally and on paper. For 72 hours, secure what's visible, set short scheduled generator use if you must, and establish a neighbor check-in. For 7 to 14 days, reinforce doors and windows with legal measures, start rotating watches, and practice medical stabilization drills. For 30 days, distribute caches, formalize your community roles, and run full scenario evacuations so everyone knows the signals and the process. I won't promise that following this plan guarantees survival. No plan does. But you can change the odds dramatically by shifting focus from gear to discipline, concealment over display, training over accumulation, community over isolation. The first month of a major conflict is about foresight and decisions you make now, not heroics when the moment arrives. If you want the printable checklist, the training links, and a moderated space to connect with vetted local groups and training schedules, join our community through the link in the description and subscribe for the printable First 30 Days guide. You can change the odds. Start today.